All right, everybody, come on in. We're cooking again. And tonight I am making a chicken bruschetta. It's also called baked chicken with tomatoes and 3 cheese, but I call it a bruschetta because basically the recipe calls for a bruschetta. And we're gonna make a rice pilaf that is baked, which is actually quite nice and easy. You can put them both in at the same time or just around the same time, and you should be able to eat quite quickly. So first thing we're gonna do is what I've done is I've sauteed my vegetables for what's going in the rice. And all it is green pepper, red pepper, and onions. And so now I'll lower my camera here and just set this aside. And so here I have 1 cup of rice, and I put a little bit of concentrated stock in there, as well as the liquid stock. And now I'm just going to add these veg that I've sauteed, and we'll mix that thoroughly, and then it'll be ready to go into the oven, which I think I'm going to put in now so that when we get the chicken ready to go in the oven, the rice will be already somewhat cooked and we don't have to rush too much for this. To the flour, because you know, you gotta add some kind of seasoning to it. And you just take one at a time. And this is just 1 breast that I've flattened. And I'm just going to add some olive oil to my pan and get it ready for chicken breast. So, I haven't had this recipe in a long time, but I always enjoyed it. And of course, you can't go wrong with anything with bruschetta on it. So here we go. We'll put that in. We'll get that sauteed, and then we will get our baking dish ready to put it in the oven. So, the reason too that I flatten these is that it'll make them cook much faster. I might have been able to actually flatten this one out a little bit more, but it should be okay. All right, so we're just gonna leave that until the first one, as my pan's not big enough for putting 2 in. And I'm just going to wash my hands here. And now we're going to carry on making the bruschetta. The bruschetta actually doesn't go on the chicken until the chicken has been in the oven for a bit, and it's only the last 5 minutes in the oven. And then we put the bruschetta with the 3 cheeses. So, let's clear some space. Make sure that you can see what we're doing here. And so first I'm going to chop my garlic. Let me grab a bowl here. And I'm not a very good chopper, everybody, so don't comment, I already know. I could be better at this, but it doesn't really bother me that I can't chop very well. All right, so now we got our garlic in our bowl. And I'm sorry that you can't see the bowl, so let me just see if I can shift some stuff here so that you can see what I'm doing. All right, so let me just turn my chicken here. Let me move the camera so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm just going to, lift that up. We're going to turn that down just a tad. Move this tray out of my way. And we'll carry on. So once you've washed your tomatoes, we need to finely dice them. Now, this recipe calls for 8 tomatoes. So I will be doing the 8, even though I'm only doing 2 chicken breasts, only because, and I'm also using Roma tomatoes. And just going to see if it needs a little touch more oil here. Because we're cooking the chicken breast in the pan to kind of give it a nice caramelized look to it, we won't have to cook it very long in the oven. So the rice may take quite a bit longer. Unfortunately, my recipe actually doesn't tell me how long, and I wasn't paying attention to, we just put it in, so I will put a timer, or actually I will remember, and then I can put it on the notes as to how long the rice actually took. So let me just see here. This is looking great. Let me see if I have enough room to put my other chicken breast. Yes, beautiful. All right, we'll deal with that later. We'll just add a touch more oil. And we'll leave those sit for now. We'll finish chopping our tomatoes. And yeah, so as I say, I haven't made this recipe in, actually, I don't know why, but probably close to 15 years. You know, it's just one of those things sometimes when you you actually I don't know if you go off of a recipe or what it is, but you just don't make things. I just made just recently a chocolate cake recipe that my mother used to make with Miracle Whip, mayonnaise, whatever you like to use. It made no different what brand, and it was so good, so good. And you forget, why don't you do those things? Anyway, I guess it's just the way things happen, and you tend not to, you know, do those kinds of things. And so I'm just doing a nice dice, you know, not too big, not too small. And we'll get this in here. So I'm going to continue, I'm going to make the recipe for the bruschetta for the whole 8 tomatoes, for simple reason is I may want to just have some bruschetta on some toast in the next couple days. So if I'm going to the effort now, I might as well, you know, make that as we go. I'm just going to check here on the chicken breast. No, that's not. Alright, that looks much better. This one's not quite ready for turning. You know how it seems strange? Here, I'll show you how your stove sometimes cooks better on one side than the other, or maybe it's just the pan. I don't know. It just is funny, I guess, for lack of a better word. And sorry, I should have washed my tomatoes before I got on camera, but time gets away from you, and you forget to do things. So, part of the reason, well, not part of the reason, but I'm enjoying my kitchen because we just renovated. So it's quite nice to have a brand new kitchen to work in. It may not have all of the things that I wish it had, but that's okay. You have to go with the space you have, and that's just the way the cookie crumbles. So if you have any questions, feel free to send me a message or put it in the comment section. Also, please feel free to share and subscribe anytime you like. If you like some of my ideas, I don't know how this is going to work, but we'll do the best we can. And just enjoy what we're doing. So I have a few hobbies, but my main hobby is cooking. I also do genealogy. I like to read, and I'm also into cross stitching. And I have to finish a project, so I will be getting on that, as well as posting videos for you folks, and hope that you enjoy the videos. And I'm gonna just stop here and check that chicken breast. Lovely. All right. Okay, we'll leave that for a few more minutes. And then once we get the bruschetta mixed up, we will get this in the pan, and we will put it in the oven. Because the chicken is just going in to the oven for about 10 to 15 minutes, the rice won't be quite done yet, but it turns out so fluffy. I never thought about doing the rice, and to be honest with you, I've not done it since. I've made this recipe years ago. Not sure why. I think probably because it does take a little bit longer. It's probably a good half an hour to 40 minutes for the rice, simply because, you know, it's in the oven. It's a 350-degree oven, but it's still the oven, and it will take a little bit longer for that to occur. So this bruschetta is very simple. It's just 2 cloves of garlic. I used 3 because one of my 2 of my 3 were tiny. And 8 tomatoes. And then we're going to add 2 tablespoons pardon me, of oregano. And then we're gonna add some salt and pepper and some olive oil. And that is basically it. We stir it, we taste it, and then we determine whether we need to add any more seasoning. Then what's gonna happen is once the chicken comes out of the oven, that's when we add the bruschetta, and we will then top it with the cheese. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to give this a bit of a stir with the garlic, and then I'm going to then add my spices. So I need 2 tablespoons of oregano. So there's my oregano. And I don't know about you folks, but I love oregano. And this is my beautiful salt and pepper, loose salt and pepper that I got to go in my new kitchen. And let's just stir that up and we'll have a taste. And I think there's plenty of oregano. Okay, for me, that is perfect. So I'm not going to touch it. So now we're going to set that aside, get a baking dish for my chicken. So, I always use parchment whenever I'm baking in the kitchen, putting anything in the oven, because I don't want to have to clean up a big mess. So let's just check our chicken here, see how that's going. All right, so this one's looking pretty good, as you can see. So I'm gonna set that in, but this one still needs a few minutes. It's looking a little sad. So we're gonna let it sit for a few minutes and do its thing. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the garlic around the chicken, and I'm going to just pop a little bit of olive oil on these. This is easier than said than done, actually. I'm just gonna, all right, and now what I'm gonna do, I'm going to season them with just a little bit of salt, and I'm gonna add pepper. Don't know if that's the norm, but hey, I'm me, so I'll just play me. All right, so what we're gonna do is put this in the oven, and then I'm gonna come back and show you what it looks like when I do the bruschetta back in the oven with the cheese, and hopefully the rice will be ready then. Okay, see you in a few minutes. Okay, I'm back. And so the chicken came out of the oven, and unfortunately, you know, we had some technical difficulties and my video wasn't recording. So I have put the bruschetta on the chicken, and right now I am just waiting for it to melt the cheese. But I will grab the rice pilaf so you can have a see. Now, just so you know, I use basmati rice, and so you may get a different texture depending on the rice that you're using, but my husband and I both like basmati, so let me have a taste here. And fantastic. Now, that only took about 30-35 minutes. So again, you could do your rice first if you want to serve rice with the chicken. Do your rice first, get it in the oven. So by the time you put the chicken in the oven for the 10-15 minute, then you know that your rice will be done at the same time as your chicken. So let's have a look at this chicken and see. Okay. So let me move a couple things here. Close the oven. Make some noise. All right. Now, remember that the garlic that you see here, right, is not is not part of the recipe. As I say, I was just roasting it because I was roasting the chicken. So there you go. That is the rice pilaf with bruschetta chicken, or you can call it chicken with tomato and 3 cheese. Hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you next time on Come On In, We're Cooking. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.